testimonies, with testimonials of the good things we are doing for God and for humanity. And today I have someone amazing in the house. I met him last year. I met him at, what's it called? It was actually a training, mini MBA that I did. And in his class, we laughed all through, you know. It was just a fantastic session with him. And over the years, or rather over the months, we've grown closer and closer and closer. And he's the one that will be taking us through today's session. Our topic today is building wealth in a depressed economy. Building wealth in a depressed economy. And Mr. Godswill Umunakwe, that's him, is one of Africa's finest financial intelligence experts. And I can say that without mincing words. I have experienced his expertise, I've experienced his financial guidance, and I know that he knows his onions, and he's an amazing coach. So in a world filled with financial pitfalls and scams, we will show you today how to navigate the turbulent waters of today's economy. And you will be able to focus on the strategies that you need to know to avoid Ponzi schemes. Some of us have found ourselves in Ponzi schemes. They looked good, but when you really get to the bottom of it, you find out that, wow, how did I get myself, messed up this way? And he will be helping us to invest, to begin to think on how to invest intelligently through financial intelligence. So with House of Saviours joy in my heart, let's call up stage Mr. Godswill Umunakwe as he takes us through today's session. Admin, please, can you help me? Yes, I can see him. Yes. Thank you, Amoye. Mr. Godswill, so happy to see you. Please, let's unmute him and get ready for a fantastic ride. Thank you, sir. Over to you. We can't hear you. You're mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm excited to be here. Really excited to be here. And Ayo, you did a fantastic job trying to hype me, as usual. But I will indulge everybody listening to me right now to disregard all the hype. Let's come to a place of commonality, and then have a time in the next couple of minutes where you can at least listen to what I have to say, learn from some of them. But I tell you one thing, I'm going to try as much as possible to make this session a more practical session, with high level of simplicity in a manner that allows everybody to be on the same page, okay? But one of the things that really will break my heart is analysis that I have done in many classes, where it looks like maybe about between 5 and 7.5% of the attendance of the class would take this serious and do something about it. And I'm hoping that this class will break or beat that statistics that I have and push it to maybe 15%. One of the major problems that we have listening to financial intelligence is sometimes it comes up to be a bit complex. I can understand that, which is why I started by saying I'm going to try as much as possible to make it very simple, because there are certain words that the financial people will always use to make it a bit complex. Words like assets, liability, expense line, revenue, income line, and so many of those words, okay? But today we're going to try as much as possible to be a very practical. Ayo, there's something I'm going to use you as an example. Sorry to borrow you for this, You're not going to get wealth accidentally. It's not going to happen. You're not going to just wake up one morning and say, whoa, it has happened. Come and help me, praise God. I have become wealthy. No. I've been following Ayo on her journey and chronicles for weight loss program. And I'm seeing painstakingly how on a daily basis, you're following up, gradually moving it and losing pounds per each. That's exactly the same journey for creating wealth. So I'm going to take you through some stories that I enjoy. I'm an ardent viewer of boxing or sports. So I'm going to use that as my storyline for this class. The sports that I'm going to focus today on is boxing. Apologies to the female who may not like the boxing time, but I'm going to tell you one of the areas of the boxing that excites me. Boxing, the way it's currently done, is about 36 minutes inside that bout. But while the world is busy, excited about 36 minutes, I am more excited about the 2 years before the 36 minutes. Follow me on this journey. The whole world buys a ticket, excited, come and watch 36 minutes of bouts. I am more excited about what happens 2 years before the 36 minutes, because that 2 years determine how that 36 minutes will go. It's an input, process, 36 minutes, and outcome. So the name is IPO. IPO. Input, process, outcome. Go back to financial intelligence. It's about what you put in, the process that determines the outcome. I'm also going to be talking about the process a little bit more if time will permit us. Because this process, some of them are outside your control. One of the things that somebody asked me many years ago is, why is it that people enter the church system, stay there listening, and walk away doing what they want to do or what they're used to? It is the process side of things. Because a lot of us show up in this class with a certain kind of wiring, certain kind of conditioning, certain kind of belief system that makes it almost impossible for you to assimilate what I'm going to say today. Or even when you assimilate, that will not be able to do it because of what I call the default state of your lifestyle. A default state of your lifestyle means if I sent 1 million naira to you right now, what is the first thing you would do? Without Godswill being by your side, without Ayo talking to you, without praise being over your neck, what is the first thing you're going to do? That will determine for me your default state of financial lifestyle. Another default state is if I take your checkbook today, this is still an introduction. If I check your checkbook today and scan through last year on your expense line, I can pretty much know where you're going in the next 5 years. You don't need to pray about it. That's where you end up because of your default state. Okay? Now, these are some of the things that I would like you to dwell on to say, okay, why am I doing the things I am doing? There are so many things you will not be able to change by way of just listening or reading books, reading books, listening, until you take time to rewrite or overwrite the conditioning that you have had over the years. That's when you can assimilate this new thing and begin to practice it. Because some of the things we're going to be talking about today, some of you may not agree with them, really. But they are ancient times of how to create wealth. Now, let's go back to the topic, depressed economy. Come on, guys. When have we not had depression in the world? When? When did we start having depression? When? Let me tell you what it means. The only time we have depression is when the rich is involved. The only time you hear we're in a depressed economy, we are depressed, there is a lot of depression. Even what economics have said in terms of definition of depression, It's a reversal of revenue of a country in the first 2 quarters. Okay? But the question I'm going to ask is, when? Is it 20 years ago? Is it 30 years ago? Is it 10 years ago? We have always lived in a depressed economy. We have. But the reason why it's becoming a cliche now is because the wealthy is affected. That level of revenue lines are affecting the wealthy. So it's become the topic, the media, everybody's talking about it. But let me tell you, there are certain things we need to begin to put in place, irrespective of time and season we found ourselves, to live above those gimmicks when they show up. Depression, inflation, lack of earning, revenue lines are dropping, all that. Those are some of the things I'm going to dwell today. I was given a particular state of mind to say, can you talk about the Ponzi scheme? I'm going to take that up when we ask ourselves, why am I poor? Or why have I remained in this place? So after the class, we're going to come up with an action point. Action point would be, what should we start doing? What should we start doing? Let's go back to my storyline of boxing. I have a particular guy who was champion in boxing for a number of years. And I found that during the period he was preparing for a championship match, I mean, if you followed Muhammad Ali for a while, you will see there's a particular time they will move to a camp. And then he stayed in that camp for a longer period of time, training himself. A camp where he stayed away from people, he stayed away from church, he stayed away from friends, he stayed away from family, he stayed away from every grandiose. He didn't have a phone, there was no television, he was just there, preparing for a bout that will happen in 36 minutes. Because you know what? After that 36 minutes, the next 10 years will be changed. So the question I'm going to ask you today is, what task are you getting involved in today for your next 10 years that may just take you the next 2 years to recondition? Because that process was a process of getting ready. Let's see what he was ready about. Physically, he was conditioning his body for the task ahead. Physically. Note that. Emotionally, he was conditioning himself for the task ahead. Okay? Are you hearing me? Okay. Emotionally, physically, spiritually. Because at that point in time, if you look at that process of 2 years, you'll see times of meditation, time of sitting down and listening and introspecting into 36 minutes and asking himself, what would this 36 minutes look like? How will I approach this? Conditioning. A conditioning was going on. Let me tell you here, if you do not recondition yourself from where you're coming from, the next 10 years, even with everything I've taught you here, will make no sense. Because some of us are already coming with a conditioning that are antidote to financial intelligence. So the first level of war you need to fight, I'm not going spiritual here. I'm not asking you to go under one prophecy and get laid hand on. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay? I'm talking about sitting down and reconditioning yourself. One of the ways you're going to recondition yourself is that being under this kind of tutelage, and finding a particular set of kind of people that you want to align yourself with. In this class, I'm also going to tell you one of the people I have aligned myself with in the last 10 years. You may well do well in trying to see if it will work for you. I'm an ardent believer of the Jewish community. I've been studying the Jewish community for a very long time, and I'm aligning my financial wealth plan and language and history around the Jew. And it's a very simple principle. The Jew community is driven by a community system, driven by trust, accountability, character, and minimalism. I don't know whether, I'm not even sure I can redefine it again to you, but it's just driven by those principles. Jewish principle of wealth creation is driven by strong level of character, morality, okay, trust, community, which is what we have here today, but more importantly, driven by minimalism. We'll talk about that later in this class to say, you know, poverty is not a revenue problem, it's a lifestyle problem. You know, I will expatiate on that later in this class. And normally when I start the class, I would like to know what are people's expectations so that I can dwell on those expectations, but we'll have a very short period of time to do this. But let me tell you one of the things I have found out about the Jew community. You know, while I'm talking to you, you can actually, after this, note it down and Google it yourself. If you go to the richest 30 men in the world, or richest 40 men in the world, 10 of them are Jews. It's not an accident, it's a pattern. It's a pattern that you need to dwell on, understand it, through it. I must thank Praise and the team for what they have done here, because this is one of the principles of the Jew community. Jew system, community building. This is number one, creating trust, character, you know, but more importantly, minimalism. I'm going to talk about that later in this class if time permits. So minimalism, because I've said here, lack of wealth is not a revenue problem. It's a lifestyle problem. So I'm not going to dwell in the revenue line, because I listened to Fisayo last Sunday, and he spent a lot of time teaching us on how we can increase and improve in our revenue lines. So I'm not going to ever talk about revenue. So I'm here to talk to two people. The guy who says, I run my business, and the guy who says, I'm an employee, I earn salary. These are the two people I'm here to speak to today. And we're going to look at them as our case study. So, Ayo, if you remember, I dwell more in a business class where it is more of a interactive class, okay? That's why I could crack everybody up here. Nobody is allowed to talk. You know, so that is what helps us to bring out the best in everybody and listening to each other. I'm hopeful that at some point, anytime, next time when I'm asked to come to teaching, we'll make it more of an interactive class so that I can hear from all of us, and then we can allow everybody on mute and then have their videos on so that we can interact more, importantly, so that it's not like you're listening to me like that. So two people, employee and the guy who owns his business. So the class has started. I'm going to start this class right now by analyzing what everybody knows that as factors of production. Factors of production, if you know, you can type it. You can type it on your chat room. Factors of production is pretty simple, where we are taught in economics, basic economic class: land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. Okay, so those are some of the areas we're going to look at. So when it comes to land, I'm going to start with labor. Labor is the one I gave you an example, where a boxer, yeah, fantastic, Daniel, where a boxer says, this labor of 36 minutes is my labor. I'm going to take care of it. It's only me that's going to have to bring. So it's labor. So he's going to use his labor to end that 36 minutes bout. He's going to end that labor, use that labor to either win or lose. Okay? So, but let's look around that labor and say, this labor, he's not alone in that camp. He's not alone in that camp. How come? He's labor, but he's not alone. He's got a team. Let's look at a success around factors of production. You may retweak it to say factors of wealth creation. Okay, it's against what we are taught in school to say factors of production. Call it factors of wealth creation. Okay, labor. Labor is, what am I doing myself? How am I doing it? Am I equipped to do this? How am I going to do it right? So the boxer, who is a laborer, in the next 2 years before the 36 minutes bout, he has a team of people who joins him in that conditioning. So the question I'm going to ask you, sir, in your labor, who are your team members? Even as an employee, who's in your team? Yeah, some of you are listening to me, so I'm one of your team. You know, what you're listening to today is one of your team. Okay, some of the books you read every day is in your team members. You know, but you know, we can have a fantastic team and have another derogatory team. A derogatory team that does not want you to succeed, or a derogatory team that comes from your environment where you live, or a derogatory team that comes from the friends that you have, these squandermania friends, okay? Squandermania friends who believe every week they're calling you and say, where are you? Have you seen this clothes? Have you seen this shoe? Have you seen this bag? Those are part of your team. These are some of the team members that will determine whether your financial journey will be hectic or turbulent in a depressed economy. So it's about time you begin to look at how to eliminate some of those team members who are not necessary, who needs to be in the camp with you to prepare you for this 36 minutes bout. Who are these team? Unfortunately, some of these team members are family and friends. There's something I used to tell people in my classes. I'm going to bring it in here. A story I talk about, say, who took my money. I was working for a group of guys, and then we're analyzing how much have you earned in the last couple of 10 years. I'm also going to ask you to do that yourself. Don't beat yourself too much. For those of you who are running businesses, some of you who are running for employees, take pen and paper out and ask yourself, in the last 10, 15 years, how much have I earned? You can, some of you can write it, hazard it. If it's not yours, you can tell me your neighbor, not you. Tell me your neighbor earned, okay? This amount of money in the last 15 years. If you run a business, how much have you earned in the last 10, 15 years? In terms of revenue for salaries, how much have you earned? I would like to see contributions. Give me an idea. How much have you earned? Out of how much you have earned, how much have you kept? While we are talking about economy, depressed economy, some of you are the depression yourself. Some of us listening to us have caused this depression to themselves. Leave Nigeria alone. Leave the country alone. Leave the world alone. Because every year, every day, every month, year in, year out, you have earned as a laborer. Sorry, I haven't seen anybody written anything here. I mean, it's not it's a narrative section. Just put numbers there. Let me have an idea how much you have earned in the last couple of years. We're talking about depressed economy. How much have you earned? I run a business. This is how much I've earned in the last 15 years. Okay. I'm a salary owner. This is how much I earn in the last 15 years. Some of us have done 30, 50, 100. Okay. Nobody's judging you here. Just look at it. Take a pen and paper. Write it down. How much have I earned? Because I told you this class is going to be a practical class. I earned 30 million. I earned 50 million. I earned 100 million. So the question for me is, out of how much you have earned, how much have you kept? How much is working for you? For all the money you have earned in terms of revenue lines, how much is working for you? Because let me tell you, the reason why the guy is going to prepare for 36 minutes bout, using 2 years to prepare, to recondition his mind, recondition his physical body, train himself hard, stay away from friends, stay away from family and friends, stay away from church system, stay away from religion, stay away from politics, stay away from phone, is because he wants 100% focus. 100% focus. Thank you, Gulliver, who says a lot of them have gone back into the business. Fantastic. But I hope we also have a time to talk about it in this class, to say sometimes we need to grow ourselves to a level where we have diversified portfolio, while we reinvest into the business, because those are the hallmark of wealth creation, because of what I call risk management metrics. Okay? Now, the guy is stating and focusing for 36 minutes. Because you know what? After the bout of 36 minutes, he's going to earn so much that he can now develop a model that allows him to convert the laborer's revenue to a capital revenue. Let me say it again. After preparing for 2 years for 36 minutes bout, he's preparing to use labor to generate a revenue that he will now convert to a capital revenue. He's going to get to a point where he earns enough money in the bout that he uses most of the money in the bout to generate more revenue, whether he's at the bout or not. Capital is working. That's where we want to be when you have a depressed economy. One of the reasons why a lot of times the depressed economy is affecting a lot of ours is because labor is what is still doing the work. Labor. That takes me to the next line of action, capital. Let's analyze these two same individuals. The guy who earns salary, the guy who's run his business. The revenue lines you have from the salary you are earning, doing your 5 or 8 to 5, 8 to 6. Some of us do not have 8 to 5, 8 to 6 is unending. So when you get tired, you go home. You have come to that point where it's functional. When you get tired, you go home. So he's moved from 8 to 5, 8 to 6, 8 to 7, 8 to 8, 8 to 9. So you sleep on the work, right? The reason why you got to do that at a particular time is that you need to begin to fine-tune models that allows you to take a percentage of the revenue and convert it into an asset class where the capital will do this work that you do from 8 to 5. That's the goal. The goal is to use labor to generate revenue and convert some of this revenue that you currently have into a capital system where the capital is now working as hard as the laborer. If you haven't been doing that, or you have been doing that in a very gentle manner, in a very pragmatic way, I want you to get aggressive with it, because that is the behavioral pattern in a depressed economy. What am I saying exactly? If you were investing 10% from your revenue line in a buoyant economy, under a depressed economy, move it to 30%. I'm going to show you how. It looks difficult, but it's doable. Because once you go away like the boxer into a 2-year, a 2 months, a 2 weeks program and recondition yourself, you will find a way to get it done. That brings me to another story. Another story. In Lagos currently, most times, I don't know what, about 10 years ago, a friend of mine invited all of us. In Lagos, when somebody wants to show off his house, he just quickly emerges with an emergency birthday party for a 1-year-old child who do not even know whether anything is happening. And then they will create a room for the adults. And then when you get to the birthday party of a 1-year-old child, the adults are more. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, so you have people who now create an emergency birthday for a 1-year-old child who is not even going to notice. More half of the time of the birthday, the child will be crying. But you know what? This guy will do a birthday party, lavish birthday party, and create a session for adults, create a session for children. And then while the children is busy jumping up and down, the adults are upstairs, squandering a lot of stuff. And I attended one of the events like that. And then the guy was living in a 5-bedroom duplex, rented anyway. Okay. And at that time, it was a fantastic space. The space was good. Everything was working. And then took us round to the sitting room, 2 sitting rooms. All those houses where you have sitting room upstairs, sitting room downstairs. And then on the sitting room downstairs, you have all the best settee, leather seats, upstairs the same with big Maracana TV station that nobody watches. Nobody's gonna watch it once in a while. Okay? And then we were going around, we got to a particular room, we tried to open the room. They said, no, that room cannot be open. I said, why? He said, that's where madam, they keep waiting, they use. I said, really? So I took praise. If praise is here, praise always charges me as a guy who uses calculator all the time. And then my calculator in my head shuts out, and that's okay. This house is 1.5 million naira, have 5-bedroom apartment. 1 room is where we keep what waiting madam no they use. So technically, 300,000 naira is put in this room for waiting madam no they use. What does that mean, really? It means it's equivalent to a guy who goes to Babish with 300,000 naira and then just throws in one after the other into the sea. And then today we're talking about depressed economy. Come on, who depressed that young man? Who? The economy or himself? Now, we're talking about a friend of mine, but I'm going to challenge some of you currently sitting down under this discussion. Okay? Some of us have closets like that are packed and full with things you don't use anymore. They were not gift items, you bought them. Did you get what I'm saying? Give me a thumbs up if you're hearing what I'm saying. I say, listening to me right now, we talked about a friend of ours. For you, listening to me, you've got a closet, you've got an asset class, you've got things that you have packed in your closet that you don't use anymore. The question is, were they gift items or you bought them? For some of us here who are, I'm not depriving anybody here, but in my banking career, I saw women carrying one bag in their hand that was equivalent to a plot of land. It was a handbag. Some of them are still carrying it today. Handbag, equivalent to one plot of land. They can call it all manner of name, right? You can call it all manner of name. I'm going to tell you, I'm not against carrying those bags, but the question is, who is funding it? Is it your labor that is funding it, or is it your capital that is funding it? Okay? Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I'm not asking you to live cheap. No, I'm not asking you to live miserly. But who is funding it? Labor or capital? That's what makes a difference. And that's where the rich has played the game against many of us. So you go to a party, you see the wealthy doing what they are doing, like somebody who, I don't know, is it Gulliver Apartment Lagos, who is in real estate? I mean, a rich man shows up and he's wearing the best of shoes, wearing the best of bag. It is one rental income that he used to buy it. Don't follow him when your own income is driven by 8 to 6 labor. Labor financing your lifestyle is poverty because you're just about 30 days away from penury. You're already poor. You're already a poor person. We're now discussing poverty and penury. You're just about 30 days away from penury. Or 60 days away from penury. Because what is financing your lifestyle is labor, not capital, which is what the Jews have demonstrated over the years. Mark Zuckerberg is a Jew. George Soros is a Jew. Michael Dell is a Jew. The Larry Page of this world of Google is a Jew. What is financing their lifestyle? If they really have an app, sorry, if you see Zuckerberg on the road, you will not recognize him because he's with his t-shirt and his jean. He may live in the best of the places, but the question is, who financed it? Who? Is it 8 to 5? It's capital. That's what makes the difference. So I'm going to try as much as possible to teach us in this class how to grow your capital side of factors of production. Labor is a good place to start from, but capital is where to end. Capital and entrepreneurship. That's where you must be focusing your life. I'm going to ask you one question. For those of us who run our businesses, are you on salary? Some of us who run our business, put on a platform. How much do you pay yourself salary? Or I can't separate between your business and your personality. Some of you even go to church with your office check. You know, some of you walk around with the business check in your pocket, in your back pocket, in your bag, moving around. There is no separation between you, the promoter of the business, and the business because you're two entities. It's important that you create that platform. You know, even the guy who is a laborer who earns 8 to 5, it's going to be stupid to ask you, do you pay yourself salary? But I'm going to ask you that question. Because you know what? The 8 to 5 salary you pay is not yet yours until you pay yourself first. from that salary. Let me say it again. The 8 to 5 labor, you're like a consultant hired by an organization. Like, for example, you work in UBA, and then you're in credit department of UBA, and they pay you 500K every month. You're like a consultant who has been employed by UBA to provide service. That's the way you must sit in your mindset. Remember, I talked about reconditioning your mind, reconditioning yourself. You're like a consultant, like 8 to 5 to do this job, and then you do the job. When you pay your salary first, the question is, what is my salary? But you know what? I advise that you pay yourself first by moving that percentage of fund into a capital play. Capital play. Capital play is what are you converting from the laborer's perspective to capital. The capital side is what you're working towards that will eventually work harder than the labor. Over time, over a period of time, the capital must be primed in a manner that allows it to work harder than the laborer. Okay, it's very, very important that you systematically condition yourself, hang out with people who are doing same, attune yourself with a community who is doing that, bring yourself to bear, recondition your spirit, your mind, your body, your financial language in that department where you're learning how to use labor to create more capital, where capital will be the one working harder than the labor. That's my goal, and that's all I want to achieve today. If your labor is currently working harder than your capital, or your capital have not even started working, you have an opportunity to retool yourself. Because that's the only way to survive in a depressed economy. Because you can never outrun a depressed economy. You can. But capital has been tuned in a manner that allows it to run faster than a depressed economy. You know why? It doesn't sleep. Labor sleeps. Labor will finish work and get tired and sleep. Capital works 247, 365 days in a year. It works. Capital is the only thing that does not understand public holiday. Labor understands public holiday. Capital does not do public holiday. It works every day. So the idea is that how do I convert my labor in a manner that allows it to translate into capital and entrepreneurship so that every day of our life, even when you're on holiday, capital is working. Let me tell you how I know. If you have a money market fund in a financial institutions where you have invested your fund, you'll be shocked that on the day of holiday, you will get an interest payment that day. The day they say there is NSACs on the road, nobody's moving away, you're still getting interest paid. Or the guy who is Gulliver apartment who has an apartment. I don't know. Gulliver, I want to ask you this question. If you run a real estate, has there been a day people who rent your house tells you they're not able to pay you because there was 4 days holiday in Nigeria? Is it ever going to happen? It's not going to happen because it's capital. It doesn't go on holiday. It doesn't understand break. You see, that's where you need to convert your laborer's revenue into. You know, I don't have time because I would have loved to dwell here a little bit, okay? Because I don't know, Ayo, how many minutes do I still have more? Because I need to move into a new session. I wanted to spend so much time on this capital. Ayo, if you're here, how many minutes do I still have? Hello? How many minutes do I still have? Okay, well, while I wait for that, how many minutes do I still have? Ten minutes. Okay, I'm gonna get towards why are we still where we are? You know, I've spent a lot of time talking about conversion of labor to capital. And if you don't do that, your financial journey is going to be very gloomy. It doesn't matter. Even if we're not in the depressed economy, it's going to be very gloomy. Let's discuss why are we where we are in the next couple of minutes. Enough of capital. Why are we where we are currently? You know, in a depressed economy, you must emerge with what we call creating the new money. create a new money. Okay? As much as we know that the revenue lines are reducing, we need to find a way to make more money. But there's something people are not talking about. How do I even go in-house and recreate myself in a manner where new money jumps out? Let me give you, I'm going to go back to real estate business. Oliver, if you're here, also help me out. If a man is living in a 4-bedroom apartment and then he pays in that bedroom apartment 2 million per annum, and then he discovers that there's a depression, the kids have all left the house, and sometimes he doesn't even remember the last time he entered one of the rooms. He basically is just using one room and the sitting room, and there's a depression. It makes business sense to move out of the 4-bedroom apartment to a smaller apartment. For example, he has a 2 million he's paying for that apartment. He needs to move to a 1,250,000 apartment by not making that adjustment because he's just going to pay for 1 year. So when you may take that action, you have saved yourself 750,000 naira. And then 750,000 naira is the new money that can be invested in something else. There is no shame in simplifying your life. No shame, because this journey is about conditioning. For some of us who live in Lagos, Lagos is a place that has so much bad influences to creating wealth. That the bandwagon effect in Lagos is so much that if you're not careful, you will be living a life that does not belong to you. So you're going to wake up one morning and ask yourself, man, what am I doing here? Because it's not me. What if that money is no longer available? You don't even have the money. So first of all, start by looking at your income and expense line and aligning them together. For example, the car you're currently driving, is it the car you should be driving? Let's start from there. What is car? Car is just a means of transport. But in Lagos, Nigeria, cars is a way to know that you have arrived. They need to know who you are. Sometimes people tell you the business you're doing, you need to have a big car so that when you show up, they will know that you are doing this. Can you show me anybody who have become wealthy by nature of the kind of car he drives? Cars open doors in Lagos. Guy, I was a banker all my life. I was told this many times. It's a discussion we will have another time. And we'll define among the, I'm a student of statistics, okay? I don't believe in emotional discussion, statistics, okay? Let's go back to the richest people in the world and let's find out what they currently drive, what they were driving before they became wealthy and what they currently drive. Maybe that will help us know, okay? Whether that is the lifestyle. An environment can give you a lifestyle that will consistently not help you. An environment. I don't know how much cars people like Praise was driving in Lagos. Today, we're listening to him. We believe he's a wealthy man because of the kind of people he has changed, kind of thing he has done. I don't know how many people, how many churches invited Praise to come and speak to them in their churches, big churches, because of the car he showed up with. Praise, if you're in this place, tell us. I challenge us. How many times were you invited to come and speak in the biggest churches in America? Because as a matter of fact, before even your driver's license, God, I'm not even sure you still drive today. I'm not sure. That's one of the belief systems that has kept a lot of us poor, because somebody also going to tell you where you live. That means a lot of stuff that will happen to you. Come on. Sometimes you're not qualified for those spaces, but you go there and say, I need 80%. There are outliers. There are no more than 5% who are influenced, who things they have done will help them. They're not more than 5%. I'm talking about statistics. The remaining 95% are Joneses. They have joined, but nothing is changing. So let's go back to creating the new money. The new money is saying, what kind of car am I driving? What kind of school am I going? What kind of things am I engaging? Can I simplify my lifestyle today so that I can generate more revenue? Somebody say, what if the money is not there? If the money is not there, means you're no more working. It means you have lost your job. Okay, if you have lost the job, what you need to do when you're down, if you are no fault, so what do? Crash your system. If you're living in a 2-bedroom flat, squeeze your family and go to a 2-bedroom flat. You have not qualified for a 3-bedroom flat. If you're driving an SUV and things are going bad, crash it, go to a small saloon, even if it's a 1-door. Now, one of the major things you need to do is simplify your lifestyle when you are in a depressed economy. And I've mentioned some of them practically, but you need to go inwards and ask yourself, what areas of my life do I need to make an adjustment and realign them One of the things that have created a lot of those loopholes is what I would call a lot of Ponzi schemes that has happened in the last couple of years. I'm going to spend some time discussing things because it's one of the things we need to talk about. In the last 10 years, on the last couple of 15 years, the Ponzi schemes have been massive in Nigeria. They don't come out as Ponzi schemes. They come out as business models. Some of them come on as network marketing businesses. I know many people who have done a lot of crypto transactions, a lot of people who have done farm crowd transactions, and we have lost tons of millions of naira at the expense of lack of knowledge. Now, what do you look out for when you see such a thing? First of all, can you see an audited report of that company? If there is no audited report or financial report that you can read or pass to your financial advisor, walk away. Another flag that you must look out for, the promoters of the business, are they living large? That's a common thing in Lagos. Once a guy is going to introduce a business, he's going to show you his lifestyle. Every time you're going to a business meeting and what they are selling and showing you consistently is the lifestyle of these promoters, where they have been, where they are going, run. Because nobody's going to show you the revenue. Question, what are we selling? What are we selling? Can they show you the revenue lines? Can you show you what is generating this lifestyle? What is generating this lifestyle is people's deposit, nothing more. They're not selling any jack. I was in a class in ABS many years ago teaching, and then this thing came up. That was when farm crowd was just in the country. And it came up. I was shocked that 70% or 75% of the people in my class had invested money in the farm crowd. And the argument was like, they're making a lot of money. I said, doing what exactly? Okay, that's okay. For you to win this argument, send me the financial report. I'm waiting. I sent my email address. I want to analyze the financial report. I never got one. I said, can I say audited report? I never got one. All I'm told is what they are doing. They took us to this camp. I said, look, what they are showing you and the kind of money they're collecting from you does not align. A particular type of liquidity must generate a particular type of revenue. So what they are doing is here what we call is steaming and letting. You take money from few people, you pay some. Yeah, there may be some few activities to legitimize what is being done so that you can visit it and see if something is going on. But how come they keep asking for money? Have you heard any of these people say we have stopped collecting money? How come? Keep collecting and keep collecting and keep paying interest. Come on, it's a Ponzi scheme. So what you look out for is things I've told you right now. And then again, what you look after when everybody is doing it, don't do. I belong to the wealth creation model of contrarian. When everybody's doing it, because I trade a lot in equity, which is one of the things I'm going to stop here to talk about. To say, how do you diversify yourself? If you're currently earning in labor and all you earn is salary, it's about time you diversify your portfolio of income lines. Are you trading in equity? Somebody says, depression is going on. Let me tell you, do you know the yield of Zenith Bank in the last couple of years? They have averaged 2% dividend income or dividend expense to all the owners of Zenith. So going to an entrepreneur into the factors of production, entrepreneurship, you don't have to leave your job and join Zenith, but you can own a portion of Zenith Bank by buying into the equity. You can own a portion of UBA by buying a portion of it. You can own a portion of UCAP by buying a portion of it. You can begin to use 30%, 20% of your income, of your revenue into those businesses run by other people. That's also what makes you an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is not only when you leave what you're doing to start your own business, because that's the lie you've been told. The only entrepreneurs you have in this world are people who live what they're doing. Live 9 to 5 so that I can join business. It's a lie. I can show you, if we have time, people who are millionaires in dollars who never left employment. It doesn't mean they're not entrepreneurs. Mutual funds is one of them, because the yield in mutual fund ranges between 10 and 15%. You have a lot of companies who are currently have a lot of good mutual funds where you can put money market fund, equity investment. Mutual fund is more like it's a steady income, but equity fund is volatile a little bit. But you can look for companies that has many years, long-lasting years of dividend payout and invest in them. It makes you an entrepreneur because you're diversifying your portfolio. You can align with some of us here who are currently doing real estate and say, how can I be involved in real estate? Look, one of the things we're going to do in this platform is to create proportionate ownership scheme in real estate, where if I cannot own the house, can I own the door? Can I own the key to the house? It makes you a part of that one. You currently have it in Nigeria, what you call PRIT, Private Real Estate Investment Trust Fund. So get involved in it. Find out how it is. Time is fast spent, guys. I wish we had more time because I'm trying to drag this into different levels of classes. I hope I have not confused you. But I'm going to leave you with this to say, it is important that you get to a point where you begin to simplify your life with the present economy. Reduce your expense lines. Guys, this is what is creeping a lot of poor people. A lot of people who are living average. It's our lifestyle. I'm not asking you to live cheap. I'm saying, why don't you generate more revenue from labor and put it in capital entrepreneur, where the capital entrepreneur are generating more fund that you can now use to live that kind of life you desire over a long period of time. Mark my words, nobody gets wealthy accidentally. Like Ayo again, who's been involved in chronicling her exercise and how much pounds she's losing per time. That's the same model that you're going to use in creating wealth. It's not accidental discharge. Again, on adventure that you find it difficult in believing what we're saying, you need some more of reconditioning, like the man who took away 2 years into a camp to recondition himself. It's about time you do that. Recondition yourself. Another thing is that I had people say, I read one book every week. I listen to one day every day. When you look at your life, you discover nothing is changing because the foundation of where what they are studying is coming has not been overwritten on to create new discovery or new patterns that you need to do. Why don't you just spend the whole year reading 5 books? Just why are you in a hurry to read 40 books in 1 year? Why? Why don't you just look at 5 books I have. One of them must be your Bible, if you're a Christian, and then spend the whole year reading 5 books. Chew it. I remember that particular year, one book I read, Richest Man in Babylon, very many years ago. I said I wasn't going to read that book. So I was reading Richest Man in Babylon. I was carrying it around me. When I get home, I read it so well that I can tell you where each word is in which chapter. I took ownership. It became mine. And I started practicalizing because I found that where I was coming from, how I was raised, the kind of friends I had when I was growing up was becoming an impediment to my journey of wealth creation. You may be one of those here. Why don't you just spend time, energy, reconditioning that belief system that you currently have? Buying shares in companies is one of the ways to do that, but you need to be financially intelligent to know what type of shares to buy. That's where the work is. What do I look at for? I'm not asking you to go out there and start playing shares. No, I'm just asking, be an investor in businesses that are quoted on the floor of the Nigerian sector. But the big question is, how do I know what to buy? First level of going to know how to buy is align yourself with financial advisors. But I'm not an ardent believer of staying with financial advisors. Knowing it for yourself is where I'm going. Get to a point where you fire every financial advisor. Get to a point where you fire me. Get to a point where you stay with it and understand it for yourself. So that it's easy for you to look out for a business and say, this is a good business to buy. One of the methods you must look at for businesses that have paid dividend in the last 5 years, the last 7 years, the last 10 years. Look at businesses that have strong governance. Governance means it's not one-man business. Decision-making process is well diversified. Okay. Look at businesses that are highly controlled in terms of regulatory framework around it. Look at businesses that have high level of risk management framework around the business, so that taking risks is not something they like to do all the time. Run away from businesses where one man is the one that takes decisions. I'm going to close this class by telling you a story, something that happened to me as a banker. We were going to give a loan to a very rich guy, somebody which other banks were giving loan to. And then I happened to be the treasury manager of a bank at that time. So I was in that meeting and they said, the risks are almost zero. So I was in the presence of the owner of the business. And I said, no, the risk is not zero. Everybody has signed off on the transaction. I said, no. I said, why? I said, what if the man dies tomorrow? It was never in the equation. Everybody never wanted to think about it. And I said, well, what if he dies tomorrow? Am I going to get my money back? Because the day this guy died, the family sued the business and take over everything. What happens to my money? As a matter of fact, that discussion changed the whole equation. We decided, you know what, we're going to add what we call a credit risk life insurance around their transaction to remove that risk. So in doing every business out there, be a risk manager. Ask yourself, what can go wrong? How have I covered what can go wrong? Who else do I know who understands this business to show me what can go wrong? Every time you're going into a business where all they are showing you is what can go right, run. Every business model must show you what can go right, what can go wrong, and how we have taken care of what can go wrong. Friends, I'm here to tell you that you have to get ready for the new frontier of this meeting. And I can tell you, the cooperative that we're bringing into bear is going to be one of the things that are going to address some of these things by using the Jewish principles that I mentioned earlier. On your own time, go and Google it and find out what makes the pattern the Jews have used to create wealth tick. And I challenge you today to begin to embrace those patterns. I can tell you, you will never go wrong with it. Simplifies your life. A depressed economy has always been here with us. It didn't just come. But the reason why it looks like it's germane now is because the wealthy are involved. Please, try as much as possible to see how far you can go in ensuring that this period is a very fantastic period. You may need to make an adjustment in your business model and say more to people who can afford your business and increase yourself. But more importantly, as the revenues are coming, invest, 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 save, 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 simplify your lifestyle. Don't be the nicest person in family anymore. Stop being the person they are scamming all the time. One of the major areas where people have remained poor is family and friends. Because you know what? A lot of our family members currently have an ATM card. They plug into you, shit money. Every time. Some of them will come through SMS. They finish sending you the long SMS and they tell you, God bless you. And then you shit money. When you see them, their phones are looking better than yours. Their shoes are looking better than yours. They are living a better life than you. You are just a laborer, laboring for everybody. You're not paying yourself first. Then you start simplifying your life and paying yourself first by saving and investing and aligning yourself with people who are doing the same thing. Your life will never remain the same. The only thing left here now is tithe and offering because I've been preaching like a minister of God. I hope I have not confused you. Ayo, thank you very much for having me. Ayo. Hello, Ayo, where are you? Yeah, I'm done. I've exhausted my time.
Hi, thank you so much, Mr. Iruji. Thank you. I think I've been unmuted for so long. I was trying to unmute myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
You're the one to wrap up. Mosu, please
It'd be nice to have questions if there are any.
Okay, yes. If there are any, please, let's have your questions. Then Mosu, over to you. Admin, can you please make Mosu host, please, a co-host? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've been trying to unmute myself since our guest finished, but I couldn't. So thank you so much for today. It's really been insightful as usual. And when you hear things like this, you know, you just have to go through a time of reflection and evaluate how it has been with you. If you are evaluate your financial journey, where you are and how you can improve. So I want to ask us this afternoon, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat room. But if you don't have any question, okay, I can see one question here. Types of equity funds and mutual funds to buy into. Can we quickly take that question, sir? Somebody is asking for the type of equity funds and mutual funds to buy into.
Okay,
And
straight on.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, as a beginner, I don't want you to go into equity picking because you're not professional enough to pick. So what you need to do is understand, go to some of the companies that are doing this business and ask for what they call index fund. Start with an index fund. What is an index fund? An index fund is a fund that has about 30 or 50 funds all put together under an index. Index because they are tracking the performance of financial institution or industrialization. What it does for the risk level there is a little bit low because you're not yet professional in picking stocks. Start from there. Index funds. There are so many of the index funds. You have financial index, you have manufacturing index fund. That's the first place to be. Equity funds are when you begin to pick them one by one. But you can pretty much look at some of the equities. Thank God for internet. You can actually do this research yourself over time. You can find out organizations that have paid dividends in the last 10 years. Organizations that have, why am I emphasizing dividends? The only way to know how good or strong a company is how much revenue they have generated and how much of that revenue they have given to the investors. And the reason why you invest is because you want to earn money, not for capital appreciation. Capital appreciation is just one of the things that happens in the capital market, which is what a lot of the rookies go in for. They buy stock today, they want to sell it tomorrow. These are rookies. I'm talking about investors. Investors are not really interested in the capital appreciation. They're more interested in the yield of the investment. How much am I getting every month? For instance, if you had invested 10 million naira in Zenith last year, this year you probably would have earned about 2.5 million naira because their yield is between 22%. But 2.5 million naira doesn't look like a lot of money, but you can pay some house rents, you can pay some school fees. Imagine what you're getting earnings from these companies for school fees, house rents without your labor. That's a place to be. The second question said, is it good to join a corporate? I don't know whether I'm able to answer that question. The guy who wants to do this, okay? Is buying land in a remote area where you can afford an intelligent real estate investment? For now, in the depressed economy, no. Land buying is another way of saving money, okay? Even in your village, I am an ardent believer that even if you have to go to your village, go and buy land, but not at this point in a very depressing economy. Because one of the things that you want to achieve when you buy land is, how do I exit when I want to exit? How timely can I exit? It's very critical. You understand that, okay? When you buy a land that you cannot exit as quickly as you want, it now turns that investment like as if an investment. The speed of investment or the speed of exit of investment is what makes an investment good. And that's why I'm still an ardent believer of some of the things, some equity market, very speed. If you want to sell your share today, tomorrow, you will sell it today, tomorrow, and get your money in the next 40, 78 hours. It's as fast as that. If you put your money in money market fund, like somebody asks, if you want to exit in 25 hours, you will exit in 25 hours. Because in a depressed economy, you want the velocity of your money to be very quick and fast within your control, okay? If you have excess fund that you can invest in a remote place that you don't have access, fine. But ensure you're not investing in a place where your moneyless can take your land and sell it, because you're not always going there. Don't buy a land that they can be sold 4 or 5 times before it gets to you again. No. So I rather you save the money in cash and put it in a money market fund than buying it in a remote environment currently where you don't have so much access and where you can exit as quickly as possible when you want. Thank you. What's the next question?
How do I get trained as a financial advisor? I think that's
how do you get trained?
Question.
How do you get trained?
Yeah, that's a question in the chat.
Okay, the training, there are so many schools or classes where you can start that process. Financial advisor is a very technical space where people in the investment banking space do. You can also do that if you register with Nigerian Stock Exchange. Security dealing, I think they have a class where you can be a part of and get trained for 3 years to be a financial advisor. But again, I love YouTube channel a lot. While you're waiting to do that, soak yourself. Like I said, find 5 books, 6 books that talks about financial advisor, and that's all you're reading for the whole year. Soak yourself inside it. Listen to everything you can find in the YouTube channel regarding financial advice. Read every book you can read, because the world has made things easier. You can become anything in the comfort of your home. You need to go anywhere. So it's not a difficult technical thing. But you need to invest time. Like I said, the 2 years of your life must go out there and invest in that. Any other question?
Yes, there's one more. What is your view investing in insurance for a long-term period?
I love insurance. I love insurance a lot. When you mean insurance, there's so many brackets in insurance. Is it life insurance, or is it insurance, the investment insurance company? I would need more clarification. What is your view investing in insurance? Insurance, is it in the equity insurance? Is it having an insurance fund? Insurance is highly diversified. Life insurance, fantastic. Life insurance is a good insurance to invest over a period of time, as long as the yield curve is good enough. What do I mean by that? If you invest in life insurance with profit, that the profit is a paltry regarding the inflation that you have, at the maturity of that life insurance, you may just have enough money to buy a bag of beans. Is that what you want? So you must get in yourself insurance, ask more questions that has with profit, or the yield is high, that has advantage of compound interest around what you're doing, so that by the time the insurance is maturing, you have enough money to actually retire. Also, invest in life insurance that has opportunity for you to borrow from that life insurance when you need. Don't forget what I said. The beauty of every investment is, how will I exit, or how will I take something from it when I need? Anything that does not give you opportunity to take something from it when you need, or exit when you need, have a problem with that. The risk element is too high, because you can have money in some place and you'll be dying of hunger. I don't want that. Thank you. I think that will be the last question.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. I want you to go to the chat room.